John Summers is the motoring historian. He was a company car thrashing technology sales rep that turned into a fairly inept sports bike rider. Hailing from California, he collects cars and bikes built with plenty of cheap and fast, and not much reliable. On his show, he gets together with various co-hosts to talk about new and old cars, driving, motorbikes, motor racing, and motoring travel.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to The Motoring Historian with me, John Summers, and
Oliver.
Making a second appearance, I think, Ollie, now.
Yeah, this one will be better.
There's nothing wrong with the old one. And anybody who wants to hate on what we're doing,
feel free.
You know, whatever. The world's not full of haters. The world's full of lovers and, cups half full. Not because if they want to hate on us for being boring and rambling, they can.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we're not doing that, are we? We're coming to the point, and I've brought you on the pod today because we have just got back from Pebble Beach 2025.
Concours d'Elegance.
Yeah, the Concours d'Elegance. D'Elegance, as Google would have it, which, even worse French pronunciation than me. Yeah, but we were there for a week, weren't we?
Yeah.
So, look, here's the agenda. You're looking at the listeners, poor blighters can't see it, but look, right, there's an agenda that we're going to talk you through.
Right.
We're going to do it by the days, right? So you don't even need to look at the agenda, Ollie. So that first day, we went to RM, didn't we? Yeah, we rolled down there and we went into the middle of Monterey to the Portola Hotel and Spa, where they lay the cars out in such a way that if you don't want to pay, you can see some cars from like outside, nose pressed on the glass kind of. Or if you pay a little bit, I think it was $60 this year, they give you the nice catalogues and you can get in and see all of the cars, and they take over a little patio, they take over the front of the hotel, and then they have cars lying around inside the old hotel there.
There's only really like 2 or 3 cars that are actually inside the hotel. It's more the expensive stuff. Well, I mean, it's all expensive. That's kind of a lie, but...
What did we see?
Well, we saw a yellow F50, and then there was a silver McLaren F1. We didn't actually go back to Sotheby's in the future, but it looks like there would be another car or 2 coming in to the...
Yeah, it looked a bit thin in comparison to other years. I wondered if that was because the numbers were down. But that said, there was a 375 Plus that I liked very much. We'll insert a little picture of that. It had these little bumperette kind of things and bumperette kind of cutouts for it. Never seen that body style before. So that interests me. The McLaren that Ollie mentioned, yes, it was known as the phrase was the Silicon Valley car, which to me, because it had always been owned in Silicon Valley.
Do you know that?
I don't know. I didn't read the auction description. The catalogue's still in the truck. We digress. RM. What else was at RM?
There was a whole...
The F50. You like the yellow F50?
No, I didn't. I don't love F50s.
You don't love F50s?
F40s are a better looking car. There was in the front area, there was what they were calling a Ford GT. It was a Mark IV, but it came out in 2024, and it's kind of a remake on the 2017 model. So it kind of had that kind of look, but it was a race car. And actually, we went down to Laguna Seca later, and we saw it there racing, and it had a very, very good exhaust note.
Well, thank you for that, Ollie, because you were most taken with that new Mark IV when we were at RM, and it was really cool that we then saw it on the track at Laguna later in the weekend, didn't we? The tail lights are holes.
Yeah, listeners, you might know that the most recent Ford GT has round tail lights. You could actually see the tire through the light because they're circles, which was very cool.
So just when you stand off the rear three-quarter of it, I'll try and find a picture to illustrate it, but the point is you can see through the light and the flying buttress is cut away and then the tyres right there exposed. It's really the most astonishing piece of architecture. It's really, if it had just been designed like that, you'd think it was amazing and cool, but it's not. It's for aerodynamics and it actually works. And
Ford can put together a car that looks great, wins races.
We kept nearly meeting Zach Brown, didn't we? We saw him there on the lawn. The boss of McLaren. Ollie just mouthed to me, who's that? The current boss of McLaren. He was there on the lawn when we were by the McLaren, so we didn't listen to him then. And he was at RM. And remember, Forrest was taking pictures of him.
Yeah, you called him River. As we were driving in, he was like, hopefully my friend River is there.
I always do.
It's like it's Forrest.
I always do get him mixed up. But
there was the high winged.
A 1970 Lotus 70, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the era of the high wing. So it's got that like really tall wing that actually my dad pointed out that it mounted like to the suspension or to the engine. I don't remember which.
To the suspension, it bolts right on top of the suspension. So the downforce goes right through the suspension. Not at all dangerous, of course. What could go wrong?
I mean, if I'm like there with my however much money and I'm looking to buy something, I never like the look of them. I don't know how you feel, but I never liked the look of the high wing.
I've only been able to accept that high wing look since I've been doing the class talking about the history of Formula One. Yeah, before that time, I couldn't bear to look at them. I was like, how? And of course, that's part of the reason why they outlawed them. It was partly the danger, but it was partly that everyone in the pit lane was like, they look terrible. What on earth? The cars aren't beautiful anymore.
We saw quite a few modern Formula One cars at Pebble, and if you get close to them, I don't think they're that beautiful compared when Prost McLaren MP4 Stroke 4 is next to it. It's like, are you really comparing those two?
I'm almost pleased that we've moved off theme a little bit here because it was 75 years of Formula One.
Exactly, 75 years, not elegant.
And there was a display of Formula One cars at Laguna Seca, wasn't there, that we spent a long time looking at.
Yeah, F1.
And there was a McLaren there. There was a McLaren at RM that we were both looking at. And the shape is fascinating. You know, if you compare it with...
This is modern Formula One.
This is a modern Formula. This is a contemporary McLaren. If you compare it with Lewis's McLaren Mercedes from 10 years ago, it's amazing how much the materials and the smoothness and things have changed. They're also much, much bigger.
Yeah, they're like twice the length of... There was also Michael Schumacher's car was there.
Like a 98 car.
And it was like so small.
It did. It looked kind of like a little hot rod Formula 3.
Yeah, it looks like a Formula 3 or 4 car for the size.
This was at Casa Ferrari,
but which we'll get to later.
Yeah, but let's stay on Formula 1 here because, Ollie, you rightly made a very good point that the judges at Pebble awarded the MP4 Stroke 4, which is the car that McLaren fielded in 88, the famous year of the Senna-Prost rivalry where they won 15 of the 16 races, arguably most dominant season ever. The simplicity of the aerodynamics there is quite noticeable, isn't it? And it means that although these are pure racing cars, elegance has always played into their design somewhat. Those high wings went away for that reason. But let's come back to RM. We were most taken, or you were most taken, with that Alfa Romeo, I believe, T33. If you've seen the movie Ford versus Ferrari, you've seen it in the backdrops, the Alfa that they used for sports racing in the late 60s. I think at the T33, they had one of those, didn't we? We looked at that quite closely. They had a number of Alfa GTAs as well, like Alfa GTAs through the ages, Alfa Juniors.
They had a bunch of like the same model. They had at least 4, and then they had one like Le Mans spec car, Le Mans. Sorry, I'm American.
They had a Le Mans spec F40, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they also had it was an LM edition F40, which was inside.
You prefer the base.
Like completely clean, I hate it. There were 3 F40s at RM. There was a red one, a blue chip car is what they were calling it. It's like this weird blue.
You know, everyone pays a premium for the blue car.
Because like the blue car was estimated.
We need William Ross now to tell us how much more the blue ones are worth now. But
the high end of the blue, like the high end of the estimate for the blue car was 4.5. The LM high end was 4, and then the high end for the red stock car was 3.5 or maybe 3.75, whatever. I just think the LM had like a wing adjuster, so everybody knows the like F40 wing. They had like cut off the ends of the wing and they had replaced it with like this carbon fiber adjuster It had like modern Michelin tires on it, slick tires. It had new headlights, clearer, better headlights, and Sparko racing seats and 5 more harnesses. And the blue chip car, if you're buying an F40, if you have $5 million, don't buy a blue chip car. Everybody likes the red F40.
All right. Well, yeah. Here's the thing. I believe, and again, we need William to confirm this, but my understanding is that something different than the normal is what commands the value.
Who's William?
William Ross, who you met. The other Motoring Podcast Network personality.
So he's like your friend within the podcasting space?
Yeah, you met him.
Yeah.
He and Eric came and stayed.
I know I met him. The viewers need to know, though.
I guess the viewers do need to know, yeah. But we act like, it's just you and I in the pub, so to speak.
For everything from Ferrari and Porsche, Lamborghini and Koenigsegg, visit exoticcarmarketplace.com. If you're into anything with wheels and a motor, log on to the Motoring Podcast Network and check out our family of podcasts at motoringpodcast.net. This is the place to find your favorite new show. Next up, a shout out to David Beatty and his team at Slot Mods, who custom build some of the coolest slot car tracks in the world at slotmods.com. Let your imagination run wild. And finally, Grand Touring Motorsports, covering all aspects of auto racing and motorsports history. Check out their e-zine at gtmotorsports.org. All the links for our sponsors are in the description.
You drinking your... All right. Anything else on RM? Was there anything else on RM that we liked?
I know this is people watching or listening probably already know this, but I have a friend at school named Johnny, and he loves modern supercars. And in the corner at RM, there was a McLaren Speedtail. You probably know what one of those looks like.
It's kind of black cherry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of a nice color. I kind of like a black cherry color. But it had like a tan interior. But what I didn't realize is most people know that like a McLaren F1 has 3 seats, and then the driver sits in the middle, and then the passengers sit on either side of the driver, like a little bit behind. I didn't realize that the McLaren Speedtail had that design or had that feature. So I think it was like I think it was McLaren doing a modernized version of the F1, because I hate to be a killjoy, but I don't really like the look of the original F1 unless it's the like LM edition, the like orange edition.
Yeah. So you don't like the Le Mans F40, but you do like the Le Mans McLaren.
I didn't say that. I just think it looks better than the stock McLaren F1.
I was never that into the stock McLaren F1. Do you know my story about McLaren F1?
What?
When I sold aerial photographs that summer in Worcester, I used to drive very fast along the road between Worcester and Stratford. It's a winding road. And one day there was roadworks, and I was pissed off to be stuck at the roadworks. I was sat there at the roadworks, and when the lights went green, I put the old Cortina first, second, took second. And as I was speeding along the narrow contraflow section of closed road, waiting to come the other way was a car I had not seen on the road before. It had not made production. I had only seen photographs of it in magazines. A McLaren F1.
Why is that so crazy?
Dude, it was on the road. It had not been launched to the public before. So as I approached...
Did they have the, like...
It was silver. It had the sunroof bit. Gordon Murray was driving it. I swept past him at 80 miles an hour, scattering him with stones from my battered blue Cortina. Thank you, drive-through. Then we had Chinese food, because you always like to have Chinese food. Then we retreated to the Ridgemark Hotel. Now, we don't want to dwell on accommodation.
The Ridgemark Hotel and Spa is what they called it, but that was a little resort and spa where it steps.
There's a golf club, but you can't swim there, and there's nobody going to massage you. In fact, everyone goes home. It seems, 8 o'clock? Everything's like locked up at 8 o'clock. Lord knows what happens if you can't get in your room past 8 o'clock, because anyway, but whatever. We stay there because, as everyone knows, Pebble accommodation is ridiculously expensive, so we just stay a ridiculous distance away to save money.
An hour away, so a third of the way back to our house every time we come back from Pebble. We're going a third of the way back to our house.
Yes, which is just part of the ridiculousness of your father, Ollie. It's just part of the ridiculousness of your dad.
There's a lot.
All right, so that was the Wednesday. So rested and refreshed. We then returned on the Thursday morning for the Pebble Beach Tour d'Elegance. So just to be clear, the reason why we do the tour is the Tour de d'Elegance is a bolt-on to Sunday's Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, and the tour is your opportunity to see the cars that are going to be on the lawn on the Sunday. It's your opportunity to see them driving all around, hear them running. We always go and see the start of that. If you get there about 7 o'clock, 7:30, it's also good for networking because the people that I want to talk to are always right there. You get to see the cars running.
It's also it's a big, well, not huge, but it's a good thing if you do the tour because that counts towards your judging. If you don't complete the tour, i.e. if your car breaks down, then that's like a point already automatically took off of your score.
Yeah. The whole idea with the tour is it'd be a tiebreaker. So if you come to the event and you drive your car down to Carmel and back on the Thursday, you're more involved in the hobby than if you just pay Paul Russell to restore the car and then show up on the lawn on Sunday, see it for the first time, hang out with your family, hope to win best in class, but hope not to have to drive it across the block because you've never actually driven it before, and it's going to be rather embarrassing trying to drive a vintage car across the block.
That's happened before. That's happened before.
Yeah, that is, that's a fairly regular feature of Pebble there. So, look, what about the tour? Well, when I was down in La Jolla a few weeks ago, I met a chap who has a few nice Porsches, and one of the Porsches was on the tour. So we met him and hung out with him, and I only realised with some irony, Ollie, that you and I, of all the cars on the tour, I knew the one with the very worst paint because this car's an original barn find 4-cam 356.
No, he took the 4-cam engine out, and what engine did he put in
a
it?
912.
Yeah,
so a 912 in it now.
He put a 912 engine in it, and
I'm not sure if the other people on the tour actually know that. I know he told us that, Ollie, but I'm not sure if the other people on the tour knew that.
So he did the tour. Fast forward to when we were on the lawn. As soon as we got in, we bumped into him. We started talking about this. My dad asked, like, where is your car? And he was like, oh, it's not on the lawn. I would have to put the 4-cam engine back in it, and, like, I'm too lazy.
Yes, that's exactly what he said. Yes, that's exactly what he said. He's definitely a driver, not a shower. Greg, we need more people like that, like him in the hobby, and I'm pleased that we had that interaction with him. So what else about the tour, Ollie? Anything else to say about that? Anything else? We see ugly Virgil Exner cars this year.
Yeah.
We don't want to be haters, we want to be lovers. We want to love the F40, not hate on the LM variation. But
I don't hate it. It's not a good looking car. It's like a Toyota Yaris does not look good.
The GR looks okay. Anything else to say about the tour before we pivot into Gooding?
There was I don't know what the model was, but it was some kind of Lamborghini. What was it? With those, like, pushed back lights. The lights, like, looked like they were pushed into the hood.
What era Lamborghini?
It was, like, Miura era. Do you not remember? It was silver.
Oh, the silver one. Oh, yeah, pre-Miura era. Some kind of a special body 350 or 400 or something like that.
That did not look good.
You didn't like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
There's only, like, one Lamborghini that I feel looks good, and it's the Diablo. The Diablo.
You are a tough sell.
Well, all these modern...
You're going to be offending all these listeners, Ollie, by saying negative things. That's why we don't say
if you're
negative things on the pod.
If you're someone who loves supercars, love Lamborghini.
You know, as I've said, I've always had a role for Lamborghini. We forgot to mention RM had that purple Diablo SV. Oh, the Mark Gammy that became a successful rap music producer in his 30s, that Mark Gammy would have owned that Diablo SV, purple with the cream interior and the mirrored wheels. It was really Florida-tastic, wasn't it, that car? We liked. All right. Well, then we went into Gooding. And what did we see in Gooding? The fact that they merged with Christie's now, which I thought was interesting because I felt like for some years now, RM, who had merged with Sotheby's, have been nearly as good as Gooding. And now Gooding, we're doing 200 cars, not 100. That was...
Gooding was doing that?
Yeah, Gooding did a lot more cars this year. Now they merged with Christie's. Yeah, it wasn't obvious, was it? Maybe they've been building that way for some time.
Doing 200 cars?
What did you remember from Gooding?
There were a lot of Group 3 cars, which you'll hear a lot about from me. Group 3 is also known as, like, GT3 race cars. So you might see like a race like Huracan or like a racing 911. We'll put pictures of the cars and
We will. I need to know what I'm looking for.
I'll help you with that. I love Group 3 cars, so that was like 3 or 4 at least there. There was a 911 Group 3. There was a BMW M something.
M8. It was an M8. I mean, it was toileted, that car.
All these actually raced, and there was...
But they wanted millions of dollars for them.
Yeah, because...
I couldn't understand it.
Well, if you... Well,
you were like, you could go out and race with them now.
You have like $2. That's why you don't understand.
You were arguing that they were competitive to go out and race now. I'm not sure if they would be.
They've made like Evo versions, but that's as far as they've gotten.
Anything else to note of Gooding?
There was...
To be honest, we
kind of... For you supercar lovers, there was a Bugatti
Bolide. But it wasn't there.
It wasn't there. It was in the catalog, but it wasn't there.
So maybe we need to find out what happened to that car. Was there anything else that was there that we saw? I felt we were kind of flagging a little bit there.
Yeah, we did Gooding like a little less thoroughly as we used to. Or had in the past years.
Yeah. So what did we do then? Did we get some lunch or something like that? The next thing I've got listed here was Mecum.
Yeah, Mecum.
Now we basically got there.
Many cars.
Walked around a little bit. And then just sat down in a kind of exhaustion, didn't we?
Yeah, there's so many cars there. I sat in a Pantera. Whenever I think of Panteras, I think of this story that I heard. Apparently Elvis Presley had a yellow Pantera in period. He was driving it and he got in a heated argument with his girlfriend. Or no, he wasn't driving it. He got in a heated argument with his girlfriend. And then he left in...
Probably in Graceland, their house.
Probably.
Gammy and I went there.
And then anyway, he stormed out of the house, or wherever he was, hopped in his Pantera, hoping to blow off some steam. But when it failed to start, he got out of the car and shot at it with his revolver. And now, whoever owns this Pantera, there's 2 bullet holes in the wheel. So... I got to sit in a red one. Wasn't Elvis's. Didn't see the bullet holes.
So Panteras, built in Italy, planned by an Argentinian, powered by a Ford V8. Is that an Italian car? Is it an American car?
I mean, the brand's Italian.
Is it as cool as a Ferrari? I mean, it's got the... I mean... It's got the same
light. What era? Because I also sat in a BB, and that felt...
Well, let's talk... Before you talk about the BB, let's finish up on the Pantera. Is the Pantera a muscle car? Is it a competitor for a Corvette?
No.
Or is it more like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? What do you think?
It's more of a Ferrari than a Lamborghini. The closest... I think if you had to compare it to something, you would compare it to...
I think it's very hard.
You could compare it to a Mura, but anything else, I don't
You could compare it to a Cobra. It has the American Ford heart
Ford.
And the European soul.
Shelby is Ford.
Yeah, but the Pantera has a Ford V8.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a Ford feel. Everything else is not a Ford feel. Because Shelby is so American.
All right, talk to me about the BB. Now, I should say you were asked not to sit in the BB.
After I got out, some dude came up on a golf cart and was like,
and told us
y'all can't sit in it.
Well, you didn't quite say that. But what was the BB like? I mean, it was a BBI, red BBI to picture it, guys.
Of course, a lot of people know that old Ferrari kind of smell. There was a radio tuner. I know this is a useless detail, but what was it?
There was a graphic equalizer.
Yeah, I'm not from 1840, so I don't know this, but...
Yeah, it had like a graphic equalizer set up in it. It was a nice car. We did flag a little bit there, didn't we? And one of us did just recover his energy by having a nap in the car. Back in the truck there.
I set off the alarm.
That's a second. We'll move on. Let's move on to that in a moment. Because whilst you slept, I watched people basically leaving, and that's quite interesting because there were some quite interesting cars leaving.
Yeah,
and that meant that I had made eye contact with the guy doing the golf cart. So when you woke up, and you were woken up when that guy fired up a side pipe Cobra across the car park, that's what woke you up. He woke up and I was like, oh, you're awake now. I'm bursting for a pee. Hang out in the truck 5 more minutes and I'll go and take a pee. So I went off to take a pee.
The car was locked.
And I locked him in,
and
which is a bad mistake.
So hot. And I was like, oh, I just got to open the door. And you know how on these we were in a 2016 Toyota Tundra. And on all these modern cars, when you pull the door, or I don't even know, probably on old cars too, when you pull the door handle first, it unlocks the car, like itself. And then you pull it again, and it opens the door. So I pulled it that first time, and then it unlocked the car, like the thingy went up, and it was like, I'm like, what? Just shut up. And I actually have done this before. I have a very good record with setting off car alarms. I had done this before, and my dad had told me to hit the unlock, or I don't even remember, was it the unlock on the central locking?
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and it wasn't working. So then it finally stopped, and I was just like, I didn't touch anything, I didn't do anything, and I was trying to go back to sleep, and then it started again.
yeah, I had the same thought. I come out of the loo.
I was like, come
back.
on, and then the dude on the golf cart came by, and he was like, do you know how to stop it? I was like, no, it's annoying. He was just like, he said this in his exact words, yeah, you look too young to hotwire that thing. So apparently the scenario that the car thought that was happening was that somebody had smashed the window and then reached inside and opened the door.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that, no.
Yeah.
It's like, should they have a sensor for the glass? And
yeah, so we live and learn. I should have just left the keys with you there. But or maybe I should have just peed in the corner of the field rather than try to do things properly and go right the way back
There's
inside.
Ferraris surrounding us. Nobody cares.
Yeah. Anything else on Mecum? Because then we went to Bonhams, didn't we?
It's huge. That's all I have to say. There's so many cars.
Mecum, you really need to go to every day.
There were two in the corner. There was a short tail 917 or 917K. It was a replica. What brand?
Yeah, no, I think
Who made the replica?
It was I don't know whether it was an original car or whether it was, but either way, the livery was as the car was. It was like hippie colours, but short tail. And apparently that's the way the car looked for Watkins Glen in 1970. And it seemed to be an original looking car. If it was original, I wouldn't have been surprised.
We were fooled.
The other thing that was cool about that was there was GT40 right next to it.
There was a Super Performance GT40 Mark IV or Mark III.
I think it was a Mark II or a Mark I. But
no,
either
it wasn't, because it wasn't a short tail. It was a long tail.
Well, the dude had it apart, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was cranking it. We were waiting there to see if he started, and he was cranking it over through the bulkhead. He was working on it. And
he had the seats taken out, and there's a hatch through the bulkhead that he was working on the starter motor on. So that was interesting. I never realised that was how you worked on a GT40.
No, I would have thought if it had the hood, then
you could lean in, but for that job, he was literally sat in it, twisted round.
Well, he wasn't reaching through. He was comfortably working.
Yeah. We weren't shoulder surfing him too much, though, were we? We were aware of
we were mainly looking at the 917.
Because I was thinking it's not starting, it needs to cross the block, and it's not started. That's why he's working on it.
Do you remember the estimate on those?
Yeah.
All right.
Bonhams
was the best auction for me.
And you almost weren't going to get out of the car, were you? You were almost too tired to get out of the car.
Yeah, so first room.
Well, first thing, we walk up, and they're like, oh, only 40 minutes to go. You can come in free. We were like, bonus. All right, then.
Bet. You don't know this, but I love sim racing on Gran Turismo 7, and I have a sim rig right upstairs. After I do this, I'll probably do a race or two. But anyway, at Bonhams, there was 2 sim rigs. You explain the track, what they were doing.
Yeah. So it's Bonham's auction, right? And in the corner, taking up quite a lot of room, 2 sim racing rigs with big screen and a whole diorama set up behind, a relief map, 2 reps, and it's all about a new driving circuit. Driving country club
it's a little country club with a racetrack
that has recently opened outside of Tokyo. And at first, it wasn't clear to me what was different from that place in upstate New York, Monticello or Montecito or whatever it's called. But you see, with that one, you buy an apartment and it's very much a sort of bachelor pad apartment, and you're in the apartment and that gives you some track time, and you've got a mezzanine floor and you can park your cars down below. And what the people, this Morikawa thing, what they told me was that they saw it as a country club for the whole family.
Dad's racing, mom's tennising,
Yeah.
kids swimming.
Yeah, that was the kind of setup that they had. It has like a Japanese tea garden thing. It is crafted so that from the circuit, you have views of Mount Fuji. So it's a little bit like a Gran Turismo circuit came real.
One of the not real.
It has 2 long straights on it. The single most interesting thing for me was that in the blurb, they say that the maximum speed on the circuit is 280 kilometers an hour.
But
now that seems quite slow, doesn't it? You're like, that's not a very, that feels like a bit of a Oliver's Mount of a, like little like poxy Nadgery kind of a like yin in second and third gear rather than a, Spa or Nürburgring really let the car open its, stretch its legs a little bit. But actually, Ollie, you spent a long time on the sim with it. It was a Assetto Corsa that they
had downloaded the track on Assetto Corsa. I love the race team Glickenhaus. On Gran Turismo, Glickenhaus doesn't exist on the game. Very sad. Polyphony, if you're listening, please add Glickenhaus. Anyway, they had Glickenhaus on Assetto Corsa, so my wish was granted. I was able to drive Glickenhaus on this. The way to describe this course is the circuit that's most like it is the Nürburgring. It's much, much shorter than the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but it's got the same kind of flat out, twisty, flat out, twisty.
It's got like 22 turns and loads of elevation change. So like the clubhouse is like way up above, and then there's like a twisty uphill kind of almost like the top of Willow Springsy kind of section. And then there's like a downhill chute that's like, a left-hander and then another left-hander that feels a bit like, Pouon or somewhere like that, doesn't it? It's really...
tell the story about braking so late with the guy.
Yeah. So the proud moment for us in the story that Ollie, I think quite rightly wants to have committed to posterity. So I developed quite good rapport with the American guys who had obviously been hired to like make sure people could do the sim properly, but didn't really know much about the Morikawa project itself. And then there was another guy in a shirt and tie who knew a lot about the Morikawa project itself, because I was sort of saying to him, I don't understand. You're telling me that you don't need additional subscriptions, but are you trying to sell memberships here? Why are you trying to sell membership for a racing club in Tokyo, like 6,000 miles away? Like, who's actually going to do this? Like, I just didn't understand how it worked. And he came over and was basically like, this isn't aimed at people like you kind of thing. He didn't say that, obviously, but like, it was aimed at like, Zach Brown, it's aimed at that kind of, it's aimed at people who travel. Well, no, people who travel internationally for business, or somebody who...
But you're not joining a country club so you can race your car.
Well, and that is a point, because I didn't think it was completely joined up, the vision. I didn't think it was completely joined up. It's just a country club's all about tranquility. And if what's going on outside is golf, that's tranquil. How tranquil is it? Your mum's trying to play tennis, you're swimming, and all of a sudden, on the film of what's happening on the track, you see me bin it off the end of the straight at a high rate of knots, and then I'm like half hanging out of the car and the car's on fire. That's not like country club and feng shui, is it?
My proud moment.
Your proud moment, all right, yeah. I'm watching, the security guard comes over and goes, I'm shutting up, like everyone has to leave now. So I'm looking over Ollie's shoulder and I'm like, Ollie, how much more's left? And he's like, half a lap, something like that. And as I'm looking, the Morikawa rep is looking as well. And we watch Ollie go into a section of track where the braking is marked, and Ollie goes way past the braking marker, takes a dab of brake well wide of the actual track marking, turns in, and I'm thinking as he turns in, he is not going to get round it. He is going to bin off violently, turns in, and it gets loose, and it goes wide, but damn me, if he hasn't got it lined up just right for the next corner.
I intentionally went it wide.
Yeah, well, I realised that on the exit of the turn, and the guy goes, your son's fast. And I'm like, yeah.
I'm 2 for 2 on setting the fastest lap time on a sim rig that's not mine. This is aside the point a little bit, but we went to Brooklands a little while ago, like
last year now.
Yeah, last summer. And Lewis Hamilton's first F1 car was in the like museumy part. Anyway, they had turned it into a sim. They had a best lap time posted up on the wall. I beat it. So yeah. I have a picture of that also in the description.
Yeah, the knack was.
So I'm 2 for 2 with setting the fastest lap time on
the knack
sims
was to go wide on that bit of Brooklands where there's a little indent on the egg, wasn't there?
That's where I was losing some time.
Yeah. But once the guy from Brooklands at Volunteer had pointed out the better line, which is not the racing line, but once he pointed out the slightly faster line, you immediately laid down the fastest time.
But on this Tokyo track, I didn't need.
You did a minute 29 that was faster than either of the reps. Their fastest time they could do began with a 1 and a 3. Yeah. So you were faster than both of them with that 129. And the only thing you said, when you came off the rig, you were annoyed because you'd muffed the final turn. You reckon you'd left half a second on the table.
I left 4/10. It was a 129.4, and I think I could have a 122.9 if I didn't, because I dropped a wheel just past the curb on that final one. It wasn't onto the dirt, but it was onto like that green area, like
the grasscrete. Yeah,
the grasscrete.
Yeah, it was. The circuit is designed by Tilke, so it shows Tilke can design a circuit which feels more like something off Gran Turismo than a real circuit. So I went outside and I looked at some of the cars whilst you were doing the racing. There were 2 interesting ones. There was that
side pipe Corvette.
Oh yeah. The side pipe Corvette that had been campaigned in period
split window,
by
it
was a 427 car that had been campaigned in period by a Chevy dealership in Santa Barbara. So cool. We have friends in Santa Barbara. That's the car he needs to buy for the school run. He'd blow those royals off their feet, wouldn't he, on their way to school? When they were coming into school, you'd start it up and deafen them. Awesome car. The other car I liked out there were 2 other awesome cars. There was that Edwardian era Bugatti.
I didn't see these cars.
You did. I had you come out and look at the Bugatti. The huge Bugatti. It looked like, I don't know if it was a land speed car or if it was a Edwardian Grand Prix car. Yeah, you did. We looked at the engine. It had the 2 of the cylinders in 2 casting. The vintage, the Edwardian guy with chain drive. Oh, that was one of my favourite cars of the whole weekend. The other car I saw that was almost more compelling, and we didn't look at this because they turfed us out before. There was a 69 Charger. It was black. It was
I did see that. I do remember that.
Dude, it was a pistol grip car. It was badged as an RT, but it wasn't a real RT. Who cares?
Wait, how do you know?
Well, I think they said it was an RT, and then I think somebody checked the numbers and said it wasn't, because there was like a sticker on the windshield saying, "Oh, we just found out this isn't really an RT." I don't really care. It's a 4-speed car. It stood just right. It looked great. It was black with red stripes. It had Magnum wheels on it, didn't it? It just looked, and the paint wasn't perfect, but I don't care about that. 75 to 90, that seemed pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that's
Smoky unit Camaro there, wasn't there? A Smoky unit Trans Am Camaro, 68 Camaro as well. We didn't get the brochure, so we didn't read up on those cars.
No, because as we said, we came late.
We came, we saw, and we conquered the Morikawa track.
Yeah, conquered. Yeah, that's actually good.
And then we left. And with that, we're going to leave you with this final little anecdote of not meeting Horacio Pagani. Not pronouncing his name properly either.
And I got talking to this lady.
Yeah.
And anyway, the lady told me that Horatio, or whatever his first name is, Horatio Pagani or whatever, was there. In the first room, there was a Zonda and a Huayra. And apparently Pagani was there.
Oh, there were a lot of Paganis in that first room. I remember now. I didn't even look.
And then there was some modern supercar thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was called. It was like an unheard of brand.
Yeah.
But anyway, Pagani was there.
Thank you, Drive Through.
This episode has been brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports as part of our Motoring Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, tune in each week for more exciting and educational content from organizations like the Exotic Car Marketplace, the Motoring Historian, Break Fix, and many others. If you'd like to support Grand Touring Motorsports and the Motoring Podcast Network, sign up for one of our many sponsorship tiers at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Please note that the content, opinions, and materials presented and expressed in this episode are those of its creator, and this episode has been published with their consent. If you have any inquiries about this program, please contact the creators of this episode via email or social media as mentioned in the episode.